Hey guys, I'd just like to point out this new game called Destiny by Bungie. I have a massive spoiler, or rumor I should say, because we're not sure if this is going to be true or not. But let's just say I believe this is the unofficial Myth 4, a game made by Bungie as well. So if you're not interested in spoilers, I suggest you switch off. This got nothing to do with quests or gameplay. It's more to do with the lore itself and the way it relates to the previous games of Myth, the 1998 game, a real-time strategy. I know they're two different genres to the first-person shooting RPG that Destiny's going for, but the lore-wise, it seems very similar, and I'll get to that in a second. So I'll let you first watch this video on the ending of Myth 2 because it explains a lot to what my points of argument are for them being the same game in the series. So if you're not into the sort of lore spoilers, then I suggest you turn off. Otherwise, just watch this video and I'll explain more.
Monday, May 4th, 7 Gates. The fallen lords are dead, and the dark has fled the land. Now we return to the difficult task of rebuilding. It will take many years to restore our cities and recover our farmlands, and this time we will remain vigilant. I have chosen to follow the Emperor and his Heron Guard back to Myothenny. There is nothing left for me in Strand, the place of my birth. I have become fast friends with Nine Skull Crocodile, the man who has healed the many wounds I received during the assault on Tharsis. He is ancient even by Heron standards, and speaking with him has given me some insight into what has happened to our world. There are laws that govern the workings of the universe that have remained immutable for countless eons. According to these laws, the forces of light and dark hold dominion over the world successively, the land belonging in turn to men or to monsters. Each cycle would be presaged by the appearance of a great comet, foretelling the rise of savior or destroyer. Each golden age would give way to one of darkness, when foul things would stir beneath the earth and evil spirits would plague the land. In turn, each dark age would fall to one of light. The evil would pass from the land, just as the comet from the sky. The saviors of each golden age were men who had risen to face the dark and never turned away. They were men of unflinching heroism, who would not rest until they had loosened the bloodless grip of wicked things which had dominated their lands. Many of these heroes were doomed to return in the following age as fallen lords, destroying all they had fought so hard to preserve. Although the hero of every age of light is different, every dark age is ushered in by the same beast, a transient divinity that seeks only conflict, the Leveler. And so Tiresias returned as Moagim to end the Age of Reason, and Connaught, the great hero of the Wind Age, returned as Balor to lay waste to the greatest empire the world had ever known. The Leveler was never killed. He was immobilized by sorcery, beheaded and burned at the stake in the Second Era. 1,000 years later, he was drawn and quartered on the plains before Ilium, the tireless horses dragging the pieces of his lifeless body to the four corners of the world. Again, in the Fourth Era, his body was destroyed by fire, his ashes mixed with salt and buried under the mountains of Kor. Balor, Moagim, and all those before them wore the mantle of the Leveler. When I stated that Balor was vanquished but 60 years ago, Nine Skull nodded thoughtfully. Soulblighter was not the Leveler. He may have been if he had survived into the next millennium, but in his attempt to force the cycle, he perished, and almost certainly will suffer at the hands of those who set it in motion. It is even conceivable that because of his actions, the cycle has been broken, but we cannot be sure. At least, not for another 940 years. Nine Skull chuckled, saying that with a little luck, he may still be around to see. He told me about old Myothenny, describing it with words that seemed out of place coming from such a grizzled warrior. He spoke of its many spired palaces and monuments, and the grand bazaar during each year's harvest. When I told him that I wished I could have seen the city at the height of its power, He said I might see it in my lifetime. Then he told me that next year the Heron Guard will be reinstating the septennial tournament to fill out their ranks. Men of bravery and warriors of renown from every corner of the Empire will gather to compete for the honor of joining them. I will be there.
So now that you watched that video, I can explain a bit more of what I'm talking about. Now, as you saw, that the leveler is actually the traveler in Destiny. Now, the leveler, he never actually dies. He always has champions that follow him, being Balor, Mulligan, and they all are previously heroes, which is what these characters you're going to be playing as are going to be, the heroes that turn into the villains, such as was Soulblighter trying to force the cycle, because he, as you've seen, wasn't actually wore the mantle of the leveler. He was actually trying to force this cycle to usher in a new Dark Age, and thus creating a broken cycle, which gave the opportunity for humanity to build up to such a point. I'd also like to point out all these units that are into in Myth 2 are almost very similar or almost identical in terms of appearance, such as the Trow looking almost exactly like the Cabal, and the Avatars also using magic just like they do with the heroes, and a clear reference to Myth as well, with the Myth Fallen being the bad guys in Destiny. There's another unit called Fetch in Myth, and basically they're referred to as being aliens from another world. Now it's kind of strange from a game that's set in a fantasy world. If you think about it, it's very similar to Destiny. There's aliens in that, of course. So this is why I'm saying the games could be tied. Myth wasn't just set on the one fantasy land, it was into space. It references universes, it references alien priestesses, it has the same units. I mean, you gotta put the pieces together to figure it out, that this game could potentially be an unofficial Myth 4, even though they're two completely different styles of game in terms of being a first person shooter. But the evidence is there. So on that note, I'll leave you to judge what you think. But I hope you enjoyed my first video. I hope I didn't make too much confusion for you guys. So if you did like it, push the like. Didn't understand it, then send me a message. I might be able to explain it a bit more clearer to you. And thanks for watching my video. And if you are going to use some of my references to this, then at least give me some credit. Cheers.